Welcome to the Rubecast. I have my friend Jack. How's it going, dude?
It's going great.
Is it Weyrauch? Do I say Weyrauch?
It's like it's actually Weyrauch.
Weyrauch. I was close.
And a rock. Like I always tell people that
because
Weyrauch because I can, and it's the only way I know how to live my life.
Weyrauch because this is America, and we can. Trucks.
Weyrauch, cause I can. And if anyone tells me I can't, then I'm gonna kick your ass.
You can get out. So, I don't know why this happened, but I'll tell you why. I was working with this kid he's from, by the way, hi Dale. I don't think he listens to this, but we were working on a tile crew. Yeah, hi Dale. Hey, let's take a moment of silence for Dale. He's still alive, but.
Hi, Dale.
Anyway, he came from like San Francisco, and he moved out here, and he like adopted a Southern accent.
Okay,
because I guess that's what you do when you move to Montana. And Dale, I love you. If you hear this, I do love you. But he's 20 something, and he moves here, and he's like, "Yeah, man, I got me a Cummins, man." From a truck.
Oh, good.
Cummins turbo diesel, man. And so every time on the job,
2x4.
Oh, yeah. I can't hear you talking 2x4. Anyway, so every time on the job site, then I'd go, "Hey, man, you see that right there? That's a truck." And then it evolved into now every time I go into Music Villa, I go to Alan and Nate because they set up my guitars all the time. You guys are the best, and Steven. Yeah. They rule.
I love Music Villa.
Hey, man, you guys ever heard of trucks? And then yesterday I went in there and I go, "Hey, you want to give this J45 some more horsepower?"
Oh, my God.
So anyway, tell me.
They must love you then.
You're from?
Oh, I'm originally from Minnesota.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I was originally, I was born in St. Paul, Minnesota.
I was born as a baby.
Let me start off by saying when I was inside my mother's womb. That's where it really starts.
That's when my dad listened to a lot of Mozart.
I remember swimming. I swam faster than everyone else.
They would put the headphones on my mother's tummy.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No,
St. Paul?
Yeah, that's where I was born, and I grew up in a pretty nice town called Stillwater. It's about 45 minutes northeast of like the Minneapolis area.
Yeah.
It borders Wisconsin, right off the St. Croix River. Beautiful town.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize how beautiful it was until I did a lot of touring. And then like after my first tour, like we went down to Florida, I think with the band that I was in. We came back, and so, I got to see the country. Like, we drove from Minnesota to, like, Florida. I remember coming back and being so humbled about where I grew up. I'm like, I have nothing to complain about. Like, everything I complained about when I was a child means absolutely nothing.
I'm looking up pictures, and you've got lots of trees. Looks like you got there's a nice scene.
There's a lift bridge that is, like, iconic.
The church steeple.
Yes. Yeah, no, it's a beautiful town.
It is, man.
Yeah.
Cool, like rustic downtown.
Yep.
Okay, by the way, side quest. How funny is it when you come into Bozeman? It's like historic district, and there's barely anything left. What are you guys doing?
I never really thought of Bozeman as like being
really
a
historic. Okay, yeah, you got the Baxter Hotel and a few other bricks, like whatever. Everything else has been updated, and it's like we sell cyborg retrofits in this building. I don't know, whatever. But beautiful town.
Beautiful
That's cool,
town.
Oh yeah, look at that right there.
Oh yeah, no, it's awesome. Grew up with like some really cold winters. I love people complaining about the weather here. Especially when it gets like negative like 30 or negative 20, and they're like, "Oh, it's so cold here. How can you like this?" And I'm like, I remember being in elementary school and like waiting for the bus in like negative 40-degree weather because my school district refused to shut down the school. And like everywhere else would be closed, but I always had to go out, wait for the school bus. It didn't matter how cold it was. Like I just got used to it, and now I can't live anywhere without a winter. It messes me up personally. Yeah. Like I need to have those season changes.
So that's something. So I grew up in Montana. You grew up in Minnesota. My wife and I lived in Southwest Minnesota for the better part for over a decade. And it was I resonate with that. Even though it was a different region of Minnesota, the winters are just brutal. It is literally like, well, the Coen brothers called it Siberia with family restaurants.
That's actually pretty accurate.
Like, it's cold. It is, I mean, so cold. It saps your will to live. And yet, you know, you hear people talk about, I think winter does make you resilient, like hard winters.
There's this thing called a jet stream. Have you ever heard of it before?
Is that like a transformer?
Yeah, it's Transformers. Pretty cool.
Is he like Starscream?
Yeah, bro. Anyway. But it's so funny because there's a jet stream that usually goes above in Canada. Usually, you know, goes up in Canada, kind of like southern part, of like right above, like, you know, like Montana. And I remember like watching the weather as a kid, and like this jet stream would go above all of our northern states, but then like Minnesota, it would dip down and like go into the Minneapolis.
We're so special.
And like that's like what the jet stream did. And like that's why the winters are so brutal there.
Yeah.
And then you get the humidity, as you know, in the summer, and that is just like so, oh my Lord.
You do kind of get used to humidity though.
You do get used to it until you leave, and then you come back for like a family, like, you know, to go see your family. And then I like remember like walking outside and instantly dripping sweat, and my father picks me up, and I literally get in. I've only been outside for like 15 minutes. I look at him, I'm like, how do you know how do you live here? Like, oh, I'm dying.
When we moved to Northwest Iowa, as I like to say, a place where dreams go to die, for college. Anyway, I'll never forget. I got to be an RA. Hey guys, I was an RA. Hey guys, I know you like pot call and whatnot, but let's ease up on it, okay? Anyway, so we had this training in the summer, and it was August in Northwest Iowa, and I remember like, man, it's really hot. I'm gonna go stand in the shade, and I went and stood in the shade, and it wasn't any better.
Right.
And I think, what is this? What devilish hell is this? Like, how it is. But it is, I mean, and then we had also noticed when we lived in Minnesota, we'd come back here and our luggage would smell weird.
Okay.
Because we, for some reason, coming from humidity to the dry, it like kept the humidity in the luggage, and then you'd open it, and I don't know, maybe we had some sort of fungus in our basement.
It kind of sounds like, because I can't ever think of a time that I've been I've been traveling and I smell my luggage like it smells like the last place that I was at.
I inherited a very keen nose hole from my mom. Anyway, so you grew up in Stillwater, and you went to school out there. Did you graduate high school there?
Yeah, graduated high school in Stillwater, and then was very involved in music there. Like my musical path really started when I was like about like 9. And that's that's like when I started doing live sound for like my local church, because in order to like go through like communion, right? Like at that time, it was actually pretty cool. They don't do this anymore, I don't think. But you had to get involved with the church. And so like there was an AV program.
That's cool.
And my parents were like, this sounds like something that like would be great for our son. And I stuck doing AV like all until I was like 22. So like 22, I was doing AV for my local church, and then got involved in like playing in like bands and like doing like worship bands and stuff. And like that's how I got to like play and like practice, and it was a great thing to be a part of, and also just like a great community of people too. You know what I mean? Like made like some good friends, and it kept me out of trouble.
2 questions on a side quest.
Yeah.
First of all, what church was it?
Trinity Lutheran Church.
Is it an ELCA or Missouri Synod?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, anyway, Trinity Lutheran, and then also you hit on something. I recorded with you, so we'll do 2 side quests. Hopefully, I can keep my brain.
It's okay. I'm also putting like little like chapter markers in my brain.
I almost texted you today and go, I don't know if my brain can handle a podcast, but as soon as you got here, I'm like, oh yeah, we're gonna. So you talked to me about. I've never heard anyone say this, but being on a worship band in church really made me a guitar player.
Yeah.
And I never thought about it like that. But then I realized a lot of the stuff I do, like if I write a song, I have the lyrics and then I have the chords above the words.
Right.
Well, where'd you get that? From worship team.
Yeah, from worship
in church.
team. Totally.
Showing up on time.
Yeah.
Coming to rehearsals.
Yeah.
Practicing at home before you get to practice at church. All that stuff. And so I've wondered at times, when I'd play with other musicians, like, well, why didn't they practice, or why,
right.
like that kind of discipline.
Oh, totally.
Huge.
Yeah, no, I mean, let's talk even about, let's take it deeper, like stage presence, right? Like going through a song and like completely beefing it, right? but it's worship, you know what I mean? Like no one
You're playing
cares.
this nice
like
open chord.
No one even knows. Yeah, no one even knows that like you like when I do, like no one cares. Like
they're just happy you're up there.
They're just happy you're up there, that you're expressing and like and creating the experience for them. So yeah, I actually haven't even really thought about this, but I've performed a lot in my life. Like I've done over 250 shows like throughout like my career.
It's a lot.
But even before that I was doing worship band and doing live sound for that, and like before I even really got involved in like the church and stuff, like I learned viola. That was like one of my first instruments that I learned. At the same time I was learning guitar.
Yeah.
And so I had that kind of going for me. So being a part of orchestra throughout like junior high and middle school, I'd play around on other instruments, and I eventually like started writing songs like when I first like started playing guitar, I guess. Like my first like concert, I remember like my first time I ever performed was like a talent show.
Yep.
When I got my guitar, and it was like, I don't know, probably like a 45-second song or something like that. But like kind of piggybacking off like we were just saying, like I went up there with my guitar, my shitty PV amp, and I sat in front of all my peers, and I was so nervous, and I played my song, and like that was it. And that was the first time I performed, and I'll never forget that feeling like that I had. You know what I mean? The
nerves and the excitement
and
and
adrenaline.
Yeah, adrenaline. That's an interesting thing too. I told somebody, for some reason I have it more with punk rock than anything else. Just a giant adrenaline surge, and I can't play leads. I just have to just match the strings. But so, okay, I'll fast forward to now, and then maybe we can kind of piece some things together.
Absolutely.
So, because now you are owner operator of Tangible Studios.
Yes, Tangible Studios is a recording studio out in Four Corners, over by like the Jump Time like warehouse area.
Yep.
And I started that about 3 years ago. I started as like a home recording studio place, and now I'm moved into a warehouse.
You're getting it dialed.
Where bands also come in and they have practice space. We've got 4 bands at the warehouse, I believe, that practice there. And also, thank you to Music Villa. They're awesome, where an artist will come in like, hey, can I just like is there a place to like practice drums, or is there a place to like play music and loudly? And because like we're outside of the residential area, we're in a business district, there's no noise ordinances, so bands love it. They just crank up at night, and they absolutely love it.
Well, like you said, if you got a bunch of kids jumping on trampolines in the building next door, and then a bunch of construction guys hammering things and throwing stuff around, it fits right in there.
Yeah, and then like typically there's a lot of like weed grow operations over there, and
you can always smell
it. There's no hiding it.
Oh, hello.
And but it's great because they will usually operate during the day, and I'll usually do a lot of my recording stuff during the day too, and then like after 5 or 6 o'clock I'll leave it open for bands, and it just works out really good. And even if I am there late mixing, I can just jump into headphones, or like my mixing studio has like noise treatment and stuff, and between like all the treatment and bands practicing downstairs, it doesn't really bother me all that much, like at all. I can still hear like what I'm doing on my Genelec speakers and still make it work. So yeah, I mean, I started the studio because I've been a performer. I was in a band called City of the Week, and that was a lot of fun.
That sounds familiar to me.
Yeah, City of the Week.
Yeah.
Yep. Steph Hushka, she grew up in Glendive, Montana.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy little town. She's a spark of energy. Really, honestly, all of them are really great musicians, all really great people. And I did a lot of touring, and I had my own battles, especially with like drugs and alcohol. And so I eventually wanted to do like my own thing. I know I'm gonna like kind of jump to the ending here,
no,
but
that's
like
cool.
we're good. We had
honestly.
We had a sponsor. We had 14 different sponsors. One of them was a startup whiskey company. Yeah.
Okay, that's them. City of the week. I'm not playing music or I'll get flagged.
You will.
I played music. I had my brother on here, and I played the theme from Walker, Texas Ranger.
Got flagged.
And I think I got flagged for that, or I played this version of the Jeremiah Johnson song. You ever watch Jeremiah Johnson? It's a Mountain Man movie with Robert Redford. It's really classic. There's no way a mountain man would ever have that nice of hair. But other than that, it's really cool. Anyway, so back to touring, recovery. We talked about that a little bit.
Yep.
I got the bipolar disorder, so I've had some extreme highs and lows, and I think we connected on that.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, those things are connected. I mean, did you find that touring was a challenge with that road?
It was the greatest time ever. There's no way to explain touring to people without it sounding like a fucking movie. Like, there's just like no way. Like, I remember on like one tour, like our van blew up. Like, I got arrested. It's
trigger alert! It's a world record. He's the first guy to say the F word on the podcast.
That's fucking great.
You know what? Okay, Jack's my friend. And I'm closing my eyes for these people that aren't even looking at me right now.
Close them harder. There you go.
Jack is my friend. And I was going to have our friend Mark on here who does Flying V.
Yeah.
And at some point he'll
Mark's
be on
awesome.
here. But we might have different opinions on things and different, but I want my people that listen to this to get introduced to my friends. So as I get to know people and connect with people, I don't have an agenda. Like, I don't have a list of people I'm angling for other than Todd Orr, I think his name is. He got attacked by a grizzly bear down the canyon.
Oh yeah.
I really want to find him and get to know him because he makes knives too. But anyway, you're my friend, and so like this is how my friends talk. Okay, like so for those of you that are extremely sheltered and haven't heard a bad word, it'll be fine.
We will all get through it.
Yeah,
we've all seen PG-13 movies.
You're for college kids. Anyway, but yeah, so this is a monumental moment. You've been you've boldly gone where no man has gone before. So continue. So touring, crazy. Like,
it's just it's just
not
wild.
Even controlled chaos, really, other than you get to the next show, right?
You just get to the next show. Like, I remember one time, like we like
what you do.
We got pulled over from the cops because if you are in a van and you have a U-Haul behind you and you take a look at the front, two people look like they're in a band, you might get pulled over by the police because this is back in like 2012. Like 2012 to about like 2017, 2018 is when I was in the band. And so it was different laws back then. Yep. And I was smoking weed at that time and toured, like, bringing weed with me. My lead singer hated me for it. Absolutely hated me for it. And I remember one time, we got pulled over. And at this time, like, Google Maps is pretty good. So, like, we have a tour schedule. I'm just looking at our flyer. I don't even know where we are, like, whatever. And I just know we came from here and this is the next tour date. So I'm just going to like look up that venue and I'm on my way. Right. And I remember getting pulled over. The cop's like, do you know why I pulled you over? I'm like, no, like, what's going on? He's like, where'd you come from? I'm like, and I remember I had to give a little bit of scene. He had pulled me into his car. I left my phone in the van, which had all of the information that I was going off of. And he's like, "Where'd you come from?" I'm like, I don't remember. He's like, "Where are you going?" I'm like, I don't know. It's on my phone. We got our car searched. I got in trouble, and like it was funny. So I mean, just
because things would have been illegal.
Yeah, back
then.
I think that was in no, was it in Ohio? I think it might have been Ohio. Yeah.
Is it not? I mean, we could talk about cannabis use because I've talked to people about it before, and I think if you've ever used it, you realize that it can very easily turn into a form of avoidance.
Oh,
and
100%.
The more you avoid, the more stress increases, and then I think for us being artists, musicians, performers, whatever you want to fill in the blank there.
Yeah.
I personally think we're the most sensitive people, and we're dialed into so much. We're kind of the canaries in the mine shaft of our culture.
Yeah.
And so you're so like dialed, and sometimes I think we're just seeking ways to knock that down.
Mm-hmm.
But then it becomes this, it's so easy to get. I mean, I've been hooked on cigarettes on and off like since my 30s. I didn't start smoking when it was cool. Like I started smoking when it was not cool. But
right.
Just that nicotine's a different deal. I personally think there's research on that that's not actually bad for your brain. It's just bad for a bunch of other stuff. But anyway, so yeah, like you do get into that mode.
Yeah, I mean, I can remember. So I've been 4 years clean now.
Nice.
And I've quit alcohol, drugs, like weed. The nicotine is still something that like I still like play around with. But I remember like clear as day, like when I quit weed and like when I found out I didn't work for me personally. And for the longest time too, it made me feel normal, right?
Yeah.
A lot of what you said like rang so true to me. Like I was overstimulated, and so like by having more stimulation, it somehow like knocked me down to like being level with everyone. Like it made me quote unquote feel normal.
Well, your brain moves so fast. I mean,
right.
I'm on a medication that literally slows down something in my brain, something with sodium channels or something but it just slows my brain down.
Yeah.
It's an anti-epileptic medication I take for bipolar disorder.
Yeah, gotcha.
And it makes the peaks and valleys less.
Yeah.
So I just think when your brain moves really fast, I don't know, maybe you've had this before. Sometimes I'll get in conversations with people and I'll jump like 5 steps ahead in the conversation and say something, and they'll look at me like I'm dumb. I'm like, no, you're dumb. I'm
Can
just
you keep
moving
up with
really
me?
quick. Like, how did you get? Well, I looked at your black sweatshirt, and then I was thinking about the third Batman movie, and then I was wondering like how Val Kilmer was doing, and that's how I got to Top Gun. But like it's not like I'm dumb. It's just like we think different.
We just think completely. Yeah. And I think a lot of artists can relate with that.
Yep.
We just on a weirder wavelength. You know
We're
what I mean?
mostly better than everyone else.
I think I saw that on the internet, and I think that's pretty true.
I think
that if you're not, Gemini told me that, I think.
Elon Google told me. Sergey X Twitter said,
yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
I
think
remember
that's
that.
pretty well. I mean, it's been in many leather-bound books. Can you confirm or deny that my office smells of rich mahogany?
I don't know if it's rich mahogany that I'm smelling. I think what I'm smelling is like 1970s carpet is like what I'm smelling.
And which is funny because I'm pretty sure this carpet's from the 90s, but that 70s carpet with the asbestos, it sticks around.
It does.
Something to keep with you.
Yeah. It does.
You're absolutely, it does. You're absolutely right.
I've toured in a lot of places and I've stayed in a lot of different homes. Got great.
Pastor's house,
Got great. Oh yeah.
And then the last guy took away these built-in shelves back here, like a derf.
It looks like he painted over them too.
Yeah,
like he painted over the shelves.
You know what we need down here? More beige. I would have taken the wood paneling. It's kind of cabin, like white trash cabin.
This wood paneling's the worst. Like what? It's like maybe like 1/8 of an inch thick, or something like that. Like what does it even do?
But also impenetrable. So anyway, you're on tour. How did that lead to? Because like you said, if you haven't, I've had a small taste of it, but I just play at the same places. Like I've been playing in Gardner, coming back, playing in Gardner, coming back. And I'll have after those gigs where I realize I could drive to Billings from here easily. Well, you just kind of get that rambling mentality.
I want to first off by saying that you're never too old to tour, but you should tour in your younger 20s.
Yeah.
Like 100%.
I think you're right.
Because that's when you have like the most energy. It's easy for you to jump back the next day if like shit hits the fan or something like that. And you also just don't have as much commitment as you do like when you're older. You don't have any kids. You don't have like maybe a serious relationship or like
debt.
You don't. I mean, like well, at that point you can just rack up debt. Like I racked up debt like going on tour. Like we didn't get. I think it's another misconception too is that people like think you go on tour and like you instantly make money. Like now,
money.
we know we probably lost money going on tour, but number one, we got tons of life experience, right?
Yeah.
And then also we met some incredible people that we got like really close to, you know? Some of my favorite shows were playing to 3 to 5 people, where every single one of those people got impacted so deeply by our set, because we had one rule in the band. The rule was that if you're going to perform, you're going to go balls out performing. Yep. None of us are ever going to half-ass it on stage. We're always going to go absolutely crazy on stage in playing limits, of course. But it's called performing for a reason. And if you're just up there, you know, standing, there's nothing really wrong with that, because there are genres that work for that, especially if like you're like storytelling or something of that kind. But if you're in a rock and roll band, there's nothing sexy about watching you all just stand in one place and rock your instrument. There's nothing great about that.
We had that's kind of it just reminds me of Theo Von every time. So man, we had this guy. Anyway, but my punk rock band in college, we would just play on campus. We didn't play anywhere else. We just played on campus. We were probably the only punk rock band to ever come out of that little Christian college.
That's punk rock.
I can almost guarantee
that's very punk rock.
We'd move all the chairs, and people would try to mosh, even though they didn't know how. But my bass player had just learned really how to play bass, and he would just stand there, and we borrowed my drummer's parents' VHS camera.
Oh, okay. This is good. This is really good.
And we would video our sets, go back to his house, and this was in the early 2000s.
Sure,
you know?
Yeah.
We go back to his house, and we'd watch it back, and I turned to by the way, Elliot, you are awesome. I'm going to tell the whole story of his journey, at least in that band and others. And I go, Elliot, you look like a kid standing in left field. And I was really mean to him. So I'm sorry, Elliot. Like one time we were trying to get a bass part down when we were recording, and I kept going, no, it's not that. And I was such a jerk. Lead singer, lead guitar player, complex. But anyway, he goes, oh man, he kind of took that to heart. And then every gig he moved more and moved more and moved more.
Yeah.
And he ended up being, we started another band years down the road, which I think if I could have made a go with a rock and roll band, it would have been our band, Bozeman Revival. We were out in Sioux Falls. We didn't play much, but those guys were just awesome and great songwriting partners. But anyway, he ended up like evolving into like a stand-up comedian. He moved all over the place.
Wow.
He would do like the cool thing where you play an open string and you're moving your hand around, and like he would do finger gun at people.
That's
so
awesome.
funny. But like you said, you gotta perform.
Yeah.
That's why people come.
Yeah.
Is to hear that, like, they want to see a show.
Yeah, I mean, I spend my weekends checking out local bands here, and sometimes like I'll look ahead forward and see who's playing, and most of the time I just go out to venues and just see, and sometimes I'll go to the Labor Temple and I'll pay $15 to get in for like a band that is not really, it really shouldn't have been a $15 cover charge. I mean, good for them that they're getting it, you know what I mean? But again, the whole premise is here, like, if you're going to perform, like, fucking perform. Like seriously perform. Give people a reason for their eyes to be, like, wide open and be wowed by the end of the night, where they can't wait to, like, tell someone about the performance that you just did. Because, people are paying money. People are paying hard-earned money to go see you. Like, they don't want to sit at home on Netflix. They don't want to sit on their phone. They want to be entertained by you, like, doing something crazy. You know what I mean? And that's about, self-exploration. Like you were just talking about, like, with your bassist. You know what I mean? Like, the more you perform like that, the more you get into it, you actually become more of yourself as a human being. You find out more about yourself. And I found a lot about myself, like, by getting really comfortable performing in front of people and, like, not caring. Because I'm kind of a weird dude. Like, I know that. Like,
we're all weird.
I know we're all weird, but, like, it was mentioned to me a lot on tour that I was a very strange looking person. But
I thought you just meant, like, we're just strange in general.
I mean, that also. I look strange and I am strange at the same time. I mean, but that doesn't bother me. But I got comfortable with being weird. You know what I mean? Like, I enjoyed making people feel uneasy by looking at them and like twisting my head, staring at them, making my eye twitch as like I'm playing guitar in front of them. Like, I fucking loved it. Jumping off stage, like getting in front of their face. Like, I loved doing that. Oh, it feels so good.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So that's kind of, so you're Stillwater High School.
Yeah.
You graduate.
Yeah.
So did you go straight to a touring band from high school?
No. We all actually all met at McNally Smith. It's no longer around. It was in St. Paul. It was a contemporary music college. I originally went for vocal performance and eventually switched to music production, which I originally wanted to do. My voice teacher told me I could make it as a vocal performance, and it's great. I have nothing against it if I wasn't paying like $24,000 a year for a degree that I may or may not do anything with after getting a degree in vocal performance. So I wanted to. I've been heavily involved in producing ever since I was 16 years old. That's when I got my first interface, and so we all met
for those of you who don't know what that is, it's the thing that you plug into the mics into and plug into your computer. That's what an interface is.
It takes it from electrical energy to ones and zeros for your computer to interpret.
Yep. Because that's sometimes I try to explain what that stuff is. So you get your recording from 16. You start mixing your engineering. I would argue that being a vocal performance guy, that helps you. You never get to use auto-tune on me, by the way. But anyway, that helps you to probably pull some performances out of people. Like, hey, why don't you try this or try that? And then that goes into producing. Because like what you are right now is you're a pro mixing engineer.
Yeah.
You've literally had education in that regard.
Yeah, mixing and mastering.
Audio production, mixing, mastering. Or you're a pro mastering engineer.
Yeah.
You studied vocal performance.
Yeah.
So if, I mean, shameless plug, because when I have people on here, we're going to talk about what you do too.
Yeah.
If you want to go have something sound good, go find Jack, because like I came over and we were going to do a free demo.
Yeah.
And you had 2 mics set up and
3 mics.
Well, 3 mics. Yeah. The 2 for the guitar and then 1 for the vocal.
Yep.
And, you're just ready to go, and it turned out so good that I said, I think I gotta pay you a little bit. I think I slapped like $50 of cash down on the counter, and then I said I'll get the other later, and it just turned out so great. You had it dialed. We're gonna talk more about off the podcast. We're gonna talk more about other production ideas, but anyway, you just had it dialed. You did such a nice job. I need to put that out. I'm dragging my feet on album art.
Well, at least you have it though. You know what I mean?
I've got it, and so that all ties in, so did you graduate with a...
No, I mean, on my resume, I put that I got my associates, but it was 2 credits away because I failed musical acoustics because it was, musical acoustics is a mind fuck for sure.
Is it kind of like the...
It's like the acoustics of a guitar, or like how things get like, it is way too much. I didn't take physics in high school, and so like I was lost from day one. Our guy who taught it was there once a day, an hour before class, an hour after class, and it was because I had no physics at all, and not like I couldn't have, but it just, I wasn't ready for that type of information.
The motivation too, and I think there are a lot of jobs I'm finding. I already know how to do my day job, and yet I still have to go to school for it to keep it. So but I already know how to do it. So I'm in these classes and I'm thinking, why am I doing this? I already know how to do the job. So you get out of that. So you get out of that, whatever. You got, like you told me a couple weeks ago, I felt like I learned what I needed to learn to do what I needed to do.
Absolutely.
A lot of people are self-taught, so you're a leg up on a lot of folks that just kind of figured it out.
Well, this is before like YouTube and these like mixing channels that are all over YouTube. Like back in like 2013 and stuff, 2014, like at that time, there was not nearly any videos on YouTube of people talking about mixing. It was very hush-hush. It was a really closed circuit, need-to-know basis. And if you wanted to get that information, you had to go intern for free at a recording studio, and you had to like get kind of beat up around, and then like maybe you could ask a couple questions to the mixing guy. You know what I mean? And I learned, a lot in school. The problem was, it's actually super funny. At the first day of orientation, they're like, make sure you go out and you perform and you get shows and we want you to be here, but we also want you performing. It got to a point where we were performing so much that like they wouldn't allow us to go to school because we were touring so much. So by them saying that we should go out and tour and stuff, ended up like backfiring on us. And say, you can't actually go here if you're going to be missing this much school. It's like, well, okay.
So is that where you got into the band from there?
Yeah, we all
That's
were
where
going
you got into.
Yeah, we were all going to McNally Smith.
City of the Week.
Yeah.
And you're going to McNally Smith. And that was in the cities?
Mm-hmm. It was in St.
For those of you who never lived in Minnesota, that's what everyone calls the Twin Cities. Yeah, I had to go up to the cities, went to the Vikings game. But that's what we all called it, the cities.
The cities.
I love Minnesota. I thought it was so cool when I found out you're from Minnesota because, like I said, I lived really good people in the not fun part of Minnesota.
Yeah.
But it's like corn, beans, and mud.
Yeah.
And despair. But anyway, really good people. Very, very, very. A lot of good people. So many. But that's a connection because I know, like last night, I was playing down in Gardner. This really nice couple was sitting there. And I said, where are you folks from? They're like, oh, we're from Minnesota. They're like, I think it was north suburbs or something like that. And I sat and talked with them for a half hour. I was actually late setting up a little bit because I was talking to them. But I figured this is part of the gig. I'm
totally
hanging out with these folks. And we just sat down and visited about our lives. They went to a Lutheran church.
Yeah.
They're getting ready for VBS the next week.
Nice.
It was just, and they had taken their kids out on this big road trip through the Black Hills to Yellowstone.
Totally.
But yeah, just like such good people. And I miss the Minnesota people regularly. So when I run into them, I'm really sad the Timberwolves lost in the playoffs. Not that it matters, but Minnesota joke, okay? I came up with another Minnesota joke. The Timberwolves losing in the Western Conference Finals is the closest the Vikings are ever going to get to winning a Super Bowl.
That's very true. It's very accurate.
Anyway, but
at least they have a ginormous new stadium to practice in.
Was it Metrodome? Was it called the Metrodome?
No, Metrodome.
No, that was the old one, right?
Metrodome collapsed.
Target Field.
There was so much. No, there's like a new Vikings. Like it's like all glass.
I remember seeing it driving through. And going, wow.
It's all glass. It's killed tons of birds. People are pretty upset about it.
New World Order Stadium. Vikings.
I want to say it's U.S. Bank, but I don't think that's right.
It might be.
It might be the U.S. Bank. Yeah,
we're getting into the weeds on Minnesota for a little bit. Vikings Stadium, U.S. Bank.
I did call
nice
it.
Job.
Yeah.
It's giant, futuristic.
It's incredible. I still have a memory to it.
That's good
to today. Yeah.
Okay, so that you go from music production stuff, school.
Yeah.
What was the technical program again? What was it called?
I think it was the music production program.
Yeah.
And so I did 1 year of vocal performance. And then like they had like music theory and like keyboard class and like everyone had to take these. So I had a lot of similar credits. So it wasn't like I was starting music production just like straight away and like having to redo a bunch of stuff. Like I actually had a lot of credits that transferred because everyone had to go through those things. Yeah. Even if you weren't musically inclined and you just wanted to like learn how to like record music, you still had to learn music theory because it helps communicate with artists and stuff,
Yeah.
So yeah, I did that for a little bit, but like I said, we just got touring so much that.
So then it's the band. How many years were you with City of the Week?
5 years.
5 years.
Yeah, 5 years.
That's like an eternity.
Well, we started out as like best friends, and it was really really fun. A lot of great time. I sang backup vocal. I played guitar, like primarily like rhythm guitar, and I was tried to be influential in the writing process.
Yeah.
And so some of the songs that are on the albums, obviously we all wrote, but I came in with the ideas for us to kind of lay down our own parts. And that was the beauty of it too. Is like as soon as someone came up with an idea, everyone like learned their parts and stuff. Yep. And it was a lot of fun. But you know how it is when you start on your younger 20s and then like by the time you're 25, you're a completely different person.
Yeah.
And that's like what had happened with our dynamic. We went from like really good friends to like all just going through our own personal things to only being business partners. And I can't remember who I heard it from like recently, but like any successful band where like if you guys aren't like on a close relationship, like close friend group, it's very difficult to like sustain that band. Yeah. You know, if you're only doing it for like business reasons, it's kind of funny that we take like an emotional business, which is like, you know, playing our emotions through an instrument, passing through the air into people's ears, and then that vibrates them into feel a certain thing. Yeah. It's very interesting, you know, thing that we're in. So if it's just about business, that's so black and white. I think we all can think of a job that we hated because it was too black and white, too dull, you know? So you can't take a dull thing and bring it in to a band dynamic and expect it to work. That's like my own personal opinion. Yep. And from my own experience too, you know, the higher likely, the likely success rate of your band definitely depends on your dynamic with a band as like with each other, what your relationship is with each other. The more fun that you have as a band, the more likely that you are going to be successful. Like, and of course, like it's any relationship, right? Like you're in a relationship with 4 other people. I mean, I was like with the band, you know, it's like a dysfunctional family.
It's a family. That's just what I was going to say.
And so it's hard to, you would never, I mean, that's why I guess they say like, don't mix like business and family together. You know what
personal.
I mean? Yeah, personal. Yeah. But that's just kind of like how it eventually evolved too. I got deeper into like my drug and alcohol abuse, and I didn't see it at that time. And it eventually led me to go on and pursue producing electronic music, which I love doing still to this day.
You've put out some stuff with some artists out here that it is top tier.
Thank you.
Like can go toe to toe. Look at that. I'm going to mute that. See? You've beat the length for my last episode. Okay.
I'll take it.
I have the outro music just sitting in there.
Yeah.
And I always delete the previous tracks and then just use the same session over and over. But
gotcha.
Anyway, what were we talking about? Oh man, that was ADD.
Oh man. We're talking about dysfunctional families and bands.
Yeah, dysfunctional families. Oh, I was going to tell you that. I mean, my punk rock band, we play 2 to 4 shows a year.
Yeah.
We'd all like it to be more, but it just doesn't pay. And I don't know, like, we cannot get people, and I've talked to Rob from Goners about this, we cannot get people to show up for punk rock shows in Bozeman.
Right.
When we could promo until we're blue in the face. But
we should do a show.
We should.
Parahellion.
Yeah. I wrote down Parahellion because I want to talk about that too.
Yeah.
But this was a cool thing. The last show we played with Do Fish Make Noise from Billings. Those guys are awesome.
Yeah,
they are absolutely.
We'll play anywhere as long as we have like enough notice. Like we'll totally play anywhere. They're like totally down.
Highly recommend. I ended up giving. I'm not going to say this. I'm not going to say it. It's because I don't want people to know. But just really love those guys. So anyway, we had 4 kids from Lewistown come out to see Do Fish Make Noise because they had known them, but they came all the way to Bozeman from Lewistown.
Wow.
So I ended up giving them some records and giving them a deal. I said, we're going to do a 50% counterculture discount because they were all decked out and looking cool and stuff.
Yeah.
So shirts for $10 and all this. But with my band, that's one reason I have the guys that I have is my bass player, Skylar. He and I grew up on the same gravel road years and years ago.
Yeah.
And my drummer, Jacob, we need to do a Chad's episode on this podcast. So we just it's hard to find time. But anyway, Jacob, he's 24. He grew up in Bozeman. I mean, he got introduced to punk rock through the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater soundtracks. Like that's
wonderful
kind of that generation.
Oh yeah.
That's what got him in.
Yeah.
And, but they're such good guys. And they're so reliable and they're just sweet guys.
Wow, you said the one thing that like you never hear.
Yep.
Reliable.
That's why, honestly, the bulk of my gigs are solo acoustic gigs because I know I can show up barring unforeseen circumstances.
Right.
I'm in charge of what I sound like.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in charge of the next song. I know all the songs.
Right.
And sometimes I'll just tell people, hey, I have not played this one ever, but I'm going to try it right now. And I find people like those tiny, like these little acoustic gigs, they're not there for you.
Yeah.
But some people, last night I had people just locked in. There was a group from West Virginia, and they're like, "Don't play John Denver." I'm like, "I love you guys," and then which John Denver rules, but they're sick of hearing West Virginia Mountain Mama take me home. Like, all right, we get it. Thank you. He's not even from there. It's like people writing about Montana. Yeah, I've been in Montana for 5 years, man. I just really got into got into my DNA.
Just got in my don't even know what it was like before, man.
Guys, I moved
coming in and ruining it. I ruined it 5 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. I came up with this. Here's a line you'll appreciate. I came here to ski and ruin things.
Yeah.
And things are ruined, so I'm gonna ski. But anyway, so yeah, like you're in that family, and it becomes that staleness of the business partner thing. That's got to be a drag, and
it just becomes tough at that point. And it's a lot of work. We were practicing 3 nights a week.
That's exhausting.
And like everyone was working full time, and so I was running a business at that time. It was like a call center that I had started. With the help of a friend who basically taught me how to start a business. And
was that out here?
No, that was in Minnesota.
Okay.
Yeah. And so we'd just be exhausted. And it was exhausting. And touring is anything but easy. But at the same time, I'm so glad I did it, because as a producer now and as an owner of a recording studio, one of the things I like to tell people is that, like, I've been in your shoes. Like, I've done what you're doing right now. Like, I've done this before. Like, all the things that you're doing outside of here, like, I've done this stuff with previous things that I've been in. So I understand. And you kind of talked about how, like, the vocal performance, like, can help in the studio, and I give people techniques all the time. And like, even like rappers, like, you wouldn't think that rappers like need like a certain technique, but like they'll just come in and they'll say what they do, and I'm like, all right, like that was pretty good. Hey, do me a favor, like, will you smile? And then they do it, and they're smiling, and it brightens up the vocals. It does everything different. And then I play them like the other track. I'm like, which one do you think sounds better? They're like, dude, that second one sounds incredibly. I'm like, yeah, isn't it crazy how that works?
Yeah.
So taking that experience. From being in school, learning recording, doing live sound for a long time, performing in a band,
You've done it all.
I did eventually move to Kansas City and worked for a professional music production company down there that Tech 9 uses them exclusively.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Tech 9's the rapper.
Yep. Digital Sound Systems is down there, and so I worked for them for about a couple of years until COVID happened. And I got to do some amazing gigs like Lady Gaga, Jack Black, Luke Bryan, NASCAR Daytona 500. All that stuff. Wow. Harley Davidson. Like, I got to do some like amazing stuff. So not only have I toured, not only was I an artist, and not only do I know things about sound, I know how large events go together, and like knowing the logistics behind a really large festival.
So many things. I ran into this with Jacob Roundtree, who was on a few weeks ago, and
love that episode.
I said, you got this cool looking guy playing music in the corner, and you just think, oh, this is a cool looking guy playing music in the corner. He has a degree in engineering.
Yeah, I know.
He did a project with Gibson figuring out how acoustic guitar tops vibrate.
Yeah.
Same with you. Okay, people might see this guy on Instagram trying to drum up business for his studio.
Right.
But they don't realize that you've worked in pro production in Kansas City. You've worked with all these different really big tier. Well, I mean, I guess we don't work. You're not working with them, but you're working on shows that they're a part of. That they're performing. You're in the crew.
Yep.
That's a whole new view. You had told me, and we don't have to expose any particulars, but you had how do I say this? You'll go to a venue and you'll go, oh man, they've got to get their sound dialed in, and we don't want to pull anyone's pants down on this podcast.
No.
But those types of things.
Yeah.
It's all of those experiences. And then talking about touring, you've been in some of these artists' shoes more than they've been in their shoes, because you've toured more. Most bands don't tour a lot.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, at least bands like I'm in, we play a few shows and it's kind of fun, and it's our golf. But
I mean, oh yeah.
Ready?
Yeah. Wait for it. Oh, I don't have fingernails.
Oh yeah. Oh, that was a good one.
Oh, that was. Did you hear that?
That was a nice. That was a nice peak.
That was a good golden one.
I'm so tempted to just play it back, but we're live.
I know a thing or two about these microphones.
No, when we were talking about, and this is kind of in the weeds a little bit, but when you ask what mics I use, I'm like, man, I feel like I'm having pretty good luck with the SM58s, you know?
I shook my head like, oh, geez, like this is going to not sound like
that.
it. But I was also, even before we got on, like I listened to all your podcasts because I thought they were great. It's super fun to have podcasts that's like local, and like when people are talking, like you can like, oh, I know where that is, and it's so great. But your production in post was like really clean. Like I would not have been able to know if I had not met you that you use SM58s for your recording. I would not known.
It's a really good plugin that I just tweak. I just use GarageBand, and it's a narration, and I just tweak the EQ.
Nice, dude.
I don't even know what I'm doing. But anyway.
Does Isotope make GarageBand?
I don't know. It's a deep cut. I believe it was Sheryl Crow who once sang another person's song and said, "The first cut is the deepest." I can't.
I'd walk 1,000 miles,
Oh, man. So much. All I want to do is have some fun. I've got a feeling I'm not the only one.
Just jump.
Yeah. Just go. Might as well, right? I mean, they see me standing there. I got my back against the record machine. I mean, I ain't the worst that they've seen. Don't they see what I mean? So I'm just like, all right, I guess I'll just jump. I don't know.
Terrible.
First cut. Now I got to figure out who wrote the first cut is the deepest, because it was not Cheryl. My mother-in-law's name is Cheryl, and my dearly departed father-in-law is from Northwest Iowa, and he would say it like Cheryl.
Cheryl.
So I like to say Sheryl Crow.
Yeah. Sheryl Crow.
Okay, here we are. Who wrote First Cut is the Deepest? Rod Stewart? He couldn't have written it.
He has a really high voice.
Wake up, Maggie. I think I got something to say. Oh, no. Rob Stewart. Rob Stewart is Rod's brother. He's a plumber. No, I don't know.
I was like, where are you getting this information
who wrote it?
from?
Cat Stevens wrote it.
Cat Stevens.
Weird. Anyway, so you're doing all this stuff now.
Yeah.
So you get off tour. You go down to Kansas City,
I
right?
did. Yep.
And so you work. I mean, I can't believe all those shows. Lady Gaga, Luke Bryan.
Worked for the TikToks.
You did.
Yeah.
So you're a double agent on the Chinese government.
Yeah, I am.
Thank you, the government. That's why I saw a drone in the window.
Yeah, we set up an LED wall for their booth at like when the Chiefs most recently.
You're not a double agent for the Chinese.
The Chinese.
You're not a double agent for the Chinese government. That was a joke.
But the Chinese.
It's a lesser known people group. So anyway, set up a big thing for the Kansas City chefs.
When they won. After a while of not winning, right? They won, and I was down there for that, and that was an amazing.
That's
experience.
huge.
Yeah, it was an amazing experience to like see that level of production like going on. I wasn't like in the stadium. I was like in like the other stadium where they have like the convention like next to it and stuff. But it was just like incredible like time to be down there, and that was like super duper fun. Like I actually love programming LED walls. Like it's such a weird thing. I mean, they're just like giant TVs, but like I find them fascinating, especially like what you can do with like LED walls like is quite crazy.
That's basically what your TV is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. A bunch of little tiny
it's just
lights.
It's basically just making your computer screen like a ginormous like screen behind someone and scaling it up.
With the shows too, right? Like a lot of them will have that kind of background. It's the podcast burp, dude. That was good mic discipline. Sometimes people are like, why don't you just burp into the microphone?
I don't want to smell it.
Why don't you just burp into the microphone? And I go, because that's a fat guy stereotype.
Oh yeah,
just like
you've said that multiple times.
farting into, and like I don't fart in front of people. Well, why not? Who cares? We're all dudes. I'm like, it's a fat guy stereotype. Because they'll just assume I did it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they will.
So I'm sorry. He must have had too much food. He's fat. Anyway, you're very skinny. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's, he's pretty svelte, folks.
German Norwegian genetics.
Yeah, I don't know what I got. I'm looking at the video right now.
Oh yeah, I forgot that we're videoing. Actually, totally forgot about that.
Part of me is tempted to sync this up with your video, but
if
I
you
don't
want
know.
to.
I don't know. Maybe I'll send you the audio and you can mess with it for fun.
I guess if we clap now, we could probably sync it up.
You think so?
Oh yeah. We'll sync it up maybe.
We'll see what happens. So, yeah, so that brought you from Kansas City to here then?
Yeah, so everyone actually though there's this like weird event called COVID. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of it before, but the music industry shut down during it.
Give me the virus.
Yeah.
Everything shut down. I don't think we're still fully recovered.
Yeah, I mean it's a parallel universe for sure.
Yeah.
And my brother, he's 12 years older than I am, and I didn't see him a lot when I was a kid, but he's like my idol. He was my absolute idol. We share the same father, different mothers. My idol. Got me into like DJing and stuff. Love my brother Luke. And he had called me and said like, look, dude, like I know you're not very happy down there. Cause I was not super happy. I mean, I was doing all these great things. I was also fighting my addictions down there too. And so he was like, hey, I don't think you're doing that great down there. Like, why don't you move up to Bozeman? Because you don't know it yet, but everything's about to shut down. And so that's how I moved to Bozeman. My brother extended his home to me. And then I was producing music in the room that he put me up in. And he's like, you're not still like thinking that you can make it like making electronic music. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I think I'm getting like really good. And he's like, he said the most like kind like thing to me, but also like deep. He's like, Jack, if you haven't made it with like your electronic career now, like you might want to consider like figuring something else out with your music. And he knew I was talented and stuff. He wasn't saying it because he's trying to put me down. He was right. And I said, well, fuck it. If I'm not going to do this, like I want to help artists and I want them. I want to produce other artists. I want to record. I want to do a recording studio. And it's something I've wanted to do for a very long time. I've just always been situated in bands or in like, production companies. And I actually did attempt to start a recording studio down in Kansas City, but then COVID happened and everything shut down. And so like I was actually putting together a studio down there. So when I moved up here, it was like, well, I've already settled on the name Tangible Studios, and that's how it all started. Yeah.
Did you do some sales stuff? Would you say you were working for a dealership?
Yeah.
For a while?
Yeah.
Car dealership?
Yeah. In the middle of doing, starting this like studio up, obviously it takes significant amount of capital to do. That's my poster for Producers Night. We'll talk about that.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that. I started working at Gibson and worked really hard at Gibson. I feel like most people have like worked at Gibson if you're an artist here in this town of Bozeman. Then at that point, I actually had started it in like my home studio location in the previous place I lived in, and then when I worked at, I got a job being a service advisor at the Ford dealership, and so I worked in the quick lane and helped people. I knew nothing about cars, by the way, knew nothing about cars before I started that job. But the manager and I got along great because we're both musicians.
Yeah.
And he was a metalhead and loves Metallica, and he's written a bunch of songs, and he grew up in California, played in bands, and so like we just hit it off because we're both music guys, and that's like why he hired me. And he also knew I had a studio, so maybe that's why he hired me.
We're everywhere. We are everywhere.
And so that's from having that job at the Ford dealership, I'm really grateful for working there because I was able to make a decent amount of money to invest in like Apollo interfaces and get modeling microphones,
high dollar recording gear,
and get like nice gear, get outboard gear for my mastering chain. Yeah.
Let me get back to. You talked about with your previous band when you became business partners and it was reduced to a business. What I have found personally is I have a really hard time doing just a job.
Right.
And I think we have that in common.
Totally.
Some folks have I wish I had the wiring, honestly.
I definitely I respect the shit out of it. I can tell you that right now.
I do too.
Yeah, I really do. Anyone who can just like do that one thing
put your
and
head down and
be okay and just have like the whole stable I guess what's the word I'm
the stability, just the regular
predictability.
Yeah, predictability.
Yeah. And like
we go nuts.
I respect that.
We go nuts in that kind of environment.
Oh, I can't do it.
We go absolutely crazy. I worked sales for AT&T when I first moved back before I got on at this church part-time. And oh man, I ended up quitting that job and just going to mix mud for my tile setter friend because I would rather just carry buckets of mud up and down stairs and cut tiles than do that. But anyway, really good guys. I remember going back and I had done a really hard funeral, and that man was just a sweet guy. And I held his hand and I read scripture and I prayed with him before he passed away. And I went back to AT&T and I said, I would rather hold a dying man's hand and pray with him than sell another cell phone or plan. So that was, I'm very, very lucky. I get to work in a place where they understand that I'm a musician and that's a part of who I am. I haven't always had that.
Yeah.
So anyway, you go from the dealership, and then is that when you made the leap to the studio?
I did.
Pretty well full time?
Yeah. I did do it full time, and I wish that I could sit here and say that like it is, sustainable enough for me. But with this economy and also just like this town being like, kind of small, I've had to pick up some like extra gigs. Like I do AV up at Big Sky Resort.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
I shoot video at the local rodeo, part of that video production team. And I'm trying to help my friend's like spa company, like where he just cleans and checks pools and pH and acidity and stuff, trying to help him out with that. So, I mean, I've got, I wish I could just say that I'm like just doing like music like full time.
But that's cool.
But it's a process.
But you're more wired. You're more wired to kind of be a hired gun than to just do the same thing every day. And it's different. You're helping people. You're doing creative stuff. That kind of thing.
I honestly, when I worked at Ford and I learned enough about cars to be able to tell people to flush their whole entire car and they need brakes and like upsell all these things that the car needed, but to be able to do it in a way.
It's a win-win.
Yeah, it's a win-win. I said, okay, I have proven that I can literally go anywhere and I can get good at a job. It's time for me to take the thing that I actually know the most about, and I need to pursue this like on a much more serious level, because I just couldn't, for me, I could not, I just absolutely could not do it anymore, where I had to keep denying myself. Could not deny myself any longer.
But not like the good way of denying yourself, like the bad way. Like, I am trying to force a square peg into a round hole here. Like,
right.
This is not working. I mean,
that's not. I call it like more like stubborn, right? Yeah. Like I'm not being stubborn about it. I'm like realistic.
No,
like
just saying, look,
this is the thing that I know I'm really good at, and even though it doesn't have a designation that's like very well known, it's not gonna frighten me and say I can't do it, you know what I mean? And so I've just been pursuing it, and I've always gone in with the intention that I didn't want it to blow up fast, because if there's anything I've learned about businesses blowing up like really fast, is that they can fall off like just as quick, you know what I mean? And so I know that I want to do this for the rest of my life. And so I've got the rest of my life to build this up. And it takes time for a studio to do it. And that's why studios don't generally last, is because they take all this money out, then they don't have any clients, and they're not well connected, and they eventually have to default because they just don't have enough business, because it takes years to develop connections. And that's why I go out on the weekends and I meet bands and I meet artists, and I don't put all this pressure on myself, like if I don't do this, like I'm gonna die, or like I want to always make myself available. I always want to make myself open, because I never know when it's gonna be a full-time gig, and people are always gonna need recording or mixing or mastering help. Ooh, excuse me.
Yeah,
and that one almost snuck through.
It would be fine.
I just wanted. I always want to be around, and I think that isn't a ton of young studios in this town, and a lot of other artists who have been in this town for a while are like stoked for me. Like they find it refreshing that there's like a new face and stuff, and we all have our different things, you know what I mean? And I'm trying to be a steward for the local artists and work with local artists and get them to that professional sound and give them something too that like they hear in their head that they absolutely love. Like I feel like a lot of engineers get that wrong, where they want to say like, oh, you're going to come work for me. I'm going to make you sound a certain way that I know is going to be good because I have this many Grammys or whatnot. I've less of a fuck on like what people have, and it's great that they have that. But at the same time, like for me, like success is making sure that like my client is fucking stoked when they walk out of that room and they can't wait to share it with other people. Because I have talked to bands and I've been like, oh, like what do you think of your album? Like, oh yeah, it's pretty good, but they're not very convincing to me.
This is okay. So there's a few musicians that listen to this. Maybe more will as time goes on, but because I'm gonna naturally have musicians on here, and creative types. But would you recommend that? Because I'm getting this sense with how music is going now. I mean, people still do like albums, and I get that. But would you recommend, like, instead of trying to cram a whole album into $1,000 budget, you just spend like $500, $600, $700 on one single?
Yeah, no, albums are becoming less of a feature specifically for new artists. And it's great that if you are a new artist and you record an album, that's totally great. I just highly recommend that you drop all of them off as singles instead of an album, because it just is geared more towards the modern consumer of listening to music. You know what I mean? And that's not everyone, but I feel like from like my research and like what I've seen other people talk about, that releasing singles is a better way of doing it instead of one big album. And that's a modern thing, at least probably in the past, 5 years or so. And I just only recently learned this and figured this out too. And there's nothing wrong with like doing an album. Is you might have more success of a fan base instead of dropping one album at one time. It might be better if you drop a single every single month.
That's what Rob and I were talking about. That he said you gotta, because I'm working on an album that I'm really hoping to have you master. And for the punk rock band, I was with that and my other stuff. I say I make music for ones of twos of people. But anyway, I want to put it out. He goes, well, what are you going to do? He's kind of producing it for me.
Yeah.
And giving me some mix input and stuff. And he goes, well, what are you going to do? I said, I don't know. He goes, you should do I forget they call it the cascading or the waterfall. Like you just talked about that.
Yeah.
Put out a single at a time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put out 3 or 4 singles in the coming months and then put the album out. I got to get to work on that now that I'm thinking. But anyway, so that I think you're right. But like with my other stuff, I'm hoping to, I mean, maybe I'll track here and have you mix and master, but I'm going to do one at a time.
Yeah.
Just because it's more cost effective for me.
Well, it's cost effective, and like if you just drop one album, you're putting all this energy in for this album drop, and then after the album's drop, like then it's just out there, right? And like you're sending it to friends and stuff. But if you have 5 songs and you're spreading it across 5 months, that's 5 months of content that you're pumping out. Maybe even advertising, putting like $20-$30 on Meta's platform to advertise. And now instead of like for like just like 1 month or whatever that you're promoting, or maybe a couple months, like you have like maybe 5-6 months of putting yourself out there. So it just gives you more of an opportunity to get in front of viewers' faces, to be exposed to new people, and people are just constantly seeing it. You know what I mean? And this is along the lines of what other record labels are doing now, like with newer artists and stuff. They're not releasing one whole album. They're releasing like multiple songs that could be on an album, like over across time, because it creates engagement.
Hey, non-music people, we're getting in the weeds on music, and we're gonna go now. We're gonna do Parahelion.
Parahelion.
That's your band. You're the guitar player.
Yes.
Songwriter, I would say a little bit.
Yeah.
Producer, engineer. So how's that going?
It's going good. So far, we have, I think 4 songs that we've recorded, drums, bass, guitar, my guitar, and I'm just waiting to get Grace into the studio, and then she's going to kick out vocals, and we're putting together an EPK so we can send out to like people like Logjam and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
EPK, electronic press kit.
You got it.
If you don't know what that is.
I got to do one of those, man. I'm so lazy.
What you do is you make a MySpace.
Well, that's another thing too, like for you, the consulting and all that stuff. You're a good guy whose brain I like to pick.
Yes.
So Perihelyon's going, that's what kind of music would you say?
Gosh, we have
rock?
like hard rock, like, signs of like some punk. Grace, our lead singer, she loves to get Nitty and scream in the microphone, but not like all the time, but like, she loves to put like the hard feelings like into words and stuff and evoke that. And she's got an amazing stage presence. Yeah. And people, I think that's how Perihelion, before I even joined, because it was a band before I joined with them. And, they had already kind of do like some like performances and stuff. They originally had come to me because
nice catch.
Thank you.
Jack just caught a floating hair out of the air. I don't know if the video caught it.
Probably not.
Anyway,
I met Perihelion when they toured my home recording spot, and they were like looking at places to record, and that's how I met them. And then like I don't know, like a month goes by and like I didn't hear anything from them, and I was like reaching out to them, and I went to the hot springs one day and I saw Grace there, and I didn't realize that Grace was heavily tatted, and so I'm in the sauna, and this beautiful girl, fully tatted, is like, I know you. I've been looking for you. And I honestly thought that she was like, just like it was like this random like drunk girl, like misperceiving me for someone else. And then I sat down and like began my meditation. What? Oh, okay. Gotcha. Oh, yeah. Much better?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not bad. It's all been good.
Okay.
So you're doing your meditation.
I was doing my meditation, and then I'm like, oh my God, like that's the band that like I've been trying to reach out to. And then like, we started talking. I ran after her, and their guitarist had left, and that's why they didn't record with me. And then eventually Grace and I started hanging out more, and she had gotten this warehouse that she was going to basically have for a practice space for Perihelion. And Grace and I became an item together, and she begged me, like, you should really move your studio into this place. And I just finished my home studio setup. I'm not kidding you. Like, literally had my apprentice and I, like, just at the time, he's now one of my engineers. And we literally just got it dialed, and she's like, you should move here. And I'm like, there's no way. Like, I just got my home studio dialed. And eventually, like, I was like, all right, I'm gonna move in. I'm gonna move the Tangible Studios to this warehouse location.
But it's a work in progress, but it's going well.
Yeah, it is a work in progress. Yeah, I was down for a couple of months, and I emptied all of my retirement out early to keep the place afloat.
Look, Ma, no safety net.
Yeah. And, but honestly, it was the best decision. And I knew in order for my business to grow, I wanted to be in an actual location, not a home studio, primarily for the artist. Here's why. When an artist comes to your home studio location, it's your home.
Yeah.
They see your kitchen, they go to the bathroom, same place you go to the bathroom. It's weird. You're not able to like fully let go. Yeah. When you go into a communicable space or like a place that's just like a recording studio,
it's a neutral space,
super neutral, and I wanted that neutral space for all. No,
it's good. I think it's gonna go honestly. So let me speak to my experience there, because I came in. You were energetic. You're positive,
and you were so rude.
Encouraging. I came in. The first thing I did was
slam my guitar.
Yeah, I rubbed like a poop on the wall, just smeared it.
Nice place,
like,
bro.
Deal with this. How do you like this for creativity? How do I tell you I'm in a punk rock band without telling you I'm in a punk rock band? But no, you're super encouraging and just very helpful, and you work fast. And I think sometimes people might have a little sticker shock or whatever, but I'd encourage folks, like, if you're listening, go get the free demo. He's not going to charge you.
Yeah.
I ended up paying for you to mix and master what we did, live acoustic thing, because I really liked how it turned out. That might happen to you, but he's not charging you. He just wants to get people in there to see what he can do.
Yeah. I mean, so it's very difficult to be able to message someone like over a platform or over the phone or even a phone call. It's very difficult for me to tell you how I can make you sound.
Yep.
So I'm offering free demos, free acoustic demos to artists so that you give me an opportunity to show you how I can make you sound and how I work, no matter what, I'm the one taking the loss,
you get into robot mode where you are just dialed in, bing, 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 and then something comes out like, I just for fun gave you some of my mixes and horrible masters for the punk rock album I'm working on. And within, 30 seconds to a minute, you had taken out a bunch of glaring problems.
Yeah.
And so you do work fast. And I guess to me, I would encourage folks, all right, maybe you can record at home and you've got an interface and you can track at home. Maybe you could have Jack do the mixing and mastering, or maybe you think you can mix like I do, which I can't, but I'm gonna have you master the punk rock thing. So, I think it's worth it. That's where you were a crucial guy for me, because I want to get to the point where the stuff I'm putting out can at least hit somewhere close to the other artists that I like.
Yeah,
and so I can give you a reference and you can say, all right, so I was just thinking about the American recordings with Johnny Cash. We might have to dial some more bass into that acoustic, by the way. Anyway, but yeah, like, you just did such a good job. And I just encourage folks, all right, I want to get to the producers night. So, and another thing I'm realizing as well, I'm hoping that folks is like, when they listen to this, they get a sense for more who you are.
Yeah.
Because it's very hard to get a sense for who somebody is when it's like a 2-minute Instagram
video. Yeah, exactly.
And it's just, I had so much fun hanging out. You're fun. Like, you're fun to hang out with. You're encouraging. You know what you're doing. It's the whole deal. I was sold. I told you, like, I'm not spending more money than I'm making this summer on recording.
You ended up spending money. You were like adamant of not spending money when you came, and then you ended up paying for something.
But it wasn't that much.
No, it wasn't.
Anyway, so June 19 and July 17 and August 21, you have a producers night. And so people show up. 124 Shepherd Trail. I'll try and put this in the description if I can remember. But so it's an open mic for producers and music creators. You tell me what.
Yeah. So producers night is the ability for people. I open my doors. I open my mixing room for producers and music creators. So let me. I have to say this because I get this all the time from people. If you are recording something on your iPhone and you're singing into it, you are a music creator. I just want to point that out there right now. So if you are making music and recording it, then you are a music creator. Okay. So this gives people the opportunity to come in, take a slot, and they get to reference their song, their bounce down song, through my Genelec speaker system.
Really nice monitoring system.
Really, really nice monitor. Yep. The 8040Bs with the 7040 sub. And
I don't know what any of that is, but it sounds really impressive.
And the whole room is treated with acoustic treatment. There's bass traps and like all the first reflection points are covered. I've got I can't remember what they're called, of course. Oh, clouds like above also it's just a really nice sounding room. So it allows people to come in and be able to reference their mix on that system. You get to sit where I sit, where I'm mixing music in the sweet spot, we call it. And then other people are also in the room. So it's like an open mic night, but you're not really playing anything live, but you're playing something that you've been working on. And other people get to like kind of say, wow, like your vocals sound great. Like, whoa, this is a demo? Like this almost sounds done. Or like everything sounded great, but I feel like I could use a little more drums. Do
you think do you think that's a little intimidating for some musicians? And then A, is it intimidating? B, how do you help them to overcome that, because that would be something I don't want other people to hear what I've done.
Yeah, well, at the same time,
not that, but then you also do.
Well, at the same time, when you get a mix done, right?
Yeah.
Who do you have to send it to?
Yeah.
Who do you have to reference it? Who do you actually trust?
Guys, I send mine to Rob. Hi, Rob. Love you. Anyway, but
the point is, a lot of people don't have that.
Don't have
it's also a very isolating job,
and that doesn't cost money.
No,
you can go.
It's free.
It's really kind of. I almost kind of think of it like a real estate open house.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh,
like,
sure.
Come hang out. Come eat some meats and look at the house. You don't have to buy it, but it is. I mean, it is a chance to get to know you, and I think that's where. I mean, yeah, just really. You're very. Also, the other thing I would say, you're really professional. Like, you have a good line between having fun and being, because I just want to joke the whole time, and then all of a sudden, like, you're zoned back out of the conversation on the screen, dialing things, and I'm like, oh wait, he's behind the curtain now.
I'm in the zone.
Yeah, it's in the zone, in the flow state. So yeah, you do a great job. So I would encourage people, June 19, July 17, August 21. Open mic for people who make music.
Yeah,
you show up, you dump your mix off, and listen to it through these big awesome speakers.
Yeah.
And yeah, just get some input. I mean, I think that's super cool.
Well, it's a community event. Like, I've been producing music for a really long time. Since I was 16, I'm 32, so about 16 years.
You're literally a professional. I can't stress that enough. Like, you know what you're doing.
I've never had other people to show my stuff to where they also produce music, you know? And I want to create a community where people can learn from each other, where I don't have to give everything. And there might even be some artists who just learned producing the past couple of years, and they've done some crazy signal chain thing where I've no idea how they did it, but once they tell me, I'm like, that's ingenious. I'm gonna have to try that out. So it's exchanging ideas and learning from one another, you know? Because again, like, when you're making music, you're in your home, you have your monitors on, and like, you're just sitting in front of your computer for hours, like, by yourself.
I love it.
And so this is a way to meet other people who do the exact same thing.
Yeah. No, I think that's, maybe if I didn't have so many shows this summer, those are all the dates up there.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I've got some of them scratched off, but I'm making.
How can you read that? It's yellow.
I know. I use the yellow marker because I feel bad for it. Because most people, it's like yellow and brown, so it's like the pee and poop marker.
That is a really interesting case.
Why did it have to be that?
Yeah, like.
But anyway,
it's a good marketing play.
But yeah, man, I'd encourage folks to show up to that. I mean, even if you're like some 18-year-old kid and you recorded a song on your iPhone, like you said.
Yeah,
my favorite recordings, some of my favorite ones, other than the one I did with you and the ones I did with Gil at Peak Recording last year.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite ones are ones I did earlier this year, is I just recorded in GarageBand on my iPhone and added distortion, and it got the amount of grit that I wanted. And
yeah,
so I mean, it doesn't have to be. I mean, I'll play people iPhone recordings and they'll go, "Whoa, what did you use for that?" I'm like, literally my phone mic. So you can actually get some pretty cool sounding stuff. But anyway, yeah. Oh, there's so many things I want to talk about. So many things I want to pick your brain on. But I think we're about 122. Hour 22 minutes. Went pretty quick.
I know. I could feel the time flying by. Yeah, like 30 minutes ago, I could feel. I'm like, wow, it's going quick.
I've had a couple times where you're talking and I'm just going, yeah, that. I don't know. I love talking about this stuff. I mean, I could sit here for. Jacob and I had the same deal.
Oh, yeah.
We just sit here so you and I are going to have to do a part 2. He and I are going to have to do a part 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think if you're a musician, take Jack up on some of this stuff. This producer's night that I'm pointing at. I mean, obviously, I don't know if we're going to do.
I've got flyers up around town too, of like the Hoff, I've got it. At Villa, I've got it. Cactus Records, I've got it. Like, yeah, I've got flyers up all over. I've almost ran out of flyers. I've printed 20 of them. I
do think it's gonna take off. Man, you're very gifted, and I can't say that enough. I like encouraging people. It's one of my tank fillers. So keep on keeping on. I think it's gonna go. I also think it's cool how you've got some diversity in what you're doing. So you can go work at the rodeo, or you can go up to Big Sky.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've learned from others that are in my position that you have to be able to do a lot of different things. My only thing is that I will only do music or sound or something that relates to a show, gigs. Like I won't go sell cell phones or something like that, you know.
But there's enough stuff that you can do.
There is.
I mean, around here, and so it's as much as we kind of, those of us who live in Bozeman and can barely afford to live here. Like I have a free house and I still can't afford to live here. I mean, seriously. But anyway, we get kind of sick of the touristy thing. If it wasn't for the touristy thing, there wouldn't be near as many opportunities for us to do stuff. And so I just kind of see it as, okay, well, there's a type of tourist that I prefer. I'm finding I like the people who come here to get out in the woods.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that if you come here to shop in a different place that doesn't have as many stores as you have, I don't understand that.
You go Big Sky.
I want the exact same experience I have at home, but in the mountains. Is that not I mean, come on. That's
what Big Sky's for.
Yeah, I went down the what is it, the Yellowtail Trail where that guy got attacked by a grizzly? I can't remember. Like, go out there. Live some life. Get some bear spray.
It's beautiful. I mean, I love Bozeman because you can go in any direction, like for 10 minutes, and like you're in the middle of nowhere almost.
That, as much as it's probably Chamber of Commerce advertising thing, that Main Street to the mountains is a pretty cool deal. You can literally hike from town up into a mountain.
Oh, that's dope.
You know, I mean, you can go take this trail and go up through Story Mill Park and then walk along the highway up Bridger Canyon and hit the M or hit the Drinking Horse.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is really cool. There's so many things I want to talk about. I think part 2, maybe we could honestly we could get in the weeds. If we had a live audience, I go, hey folks, should we keep going? And they go, yeah. Because I want to talk about some recovery stuff too, because I've got a lot of friends in recovery, and
I feel like that's a good part too, though.
Yeah, I think that is
because I don't want to rush it. It's important to me.
Yeah, I think we need to do that one.
Yeah.
So, all right, folks. Well, check out Parahellion. Are you guys on Spotify at all?
No, not yet. That's what we're working on. Yeah,
work on an album, but check them out. They're on Instagram. Parahelion.
Yep.
And Tangible Studios in Four Corners.
Yep.
Just reach out to Jack. You can find Tangible Studios on Instagram as well. I will link to your band and your studio and Instagram. Folks, I can't say enough how awesome this guy is. We've had so much fun, and I'm always grateful to have new music friends. So, any parting shots, Jack?
No, I mean, I just want to say thank you for your podcast. Your energy on this podcast is like so fun and like so not serious that it's like super entertaining. Like when you're in the car listening to your podcast and you just like talking with other people, it's super entertaining. And I love what you're doing here.
We have fun. It's cool. I still got to figure out how to mark this Bozeman. But then one of my ranch friends was like, "Are you sure you want to identify it with Bozeman? You're probably going to get some backlash." Hey, man, you didn't talk about the earth enough. Anyway, well, man, thanks for coming on here.
No, thank you.
I appreciate it. And that will do it. Thanks for tuning into the Rubecast. This has been so cool. Jack, you're the man. And, we'll be back next week with something. I don't know, maybe just me. I sometimes talk about things like mowing lawns. So thanks for being on, dude. It's been awesome.
Thank you.
All right.